Good morning, Morning Musings by Melinda. Happy Wednesday. Oh, are the weeks going long for you or short for you? I don't know. Sometimes I look at the week as just whizzed by, but then sometimes the days feel long because of everything that we're going through. And it's hard to talk about spirituality when we're in such a state of chaos in the country. And it never ceases to amaze me that when I look through Facebook feed, which is not often, I look at what you write to me, but the Facebook feed I don't look at that often. But when I see people who are touting spirituality say things that are so negative and so anchoring in their vibration. So remember that we need to keep our vibrations high and we need to feel love in our hearts no matter what. And that's what I do when I see those things, is I send a whole lot of love in that direction. So I wanted to talk to you about crying. Do you cry? Bill and I cry all the time. Actually, Bill and I cried last night when we were watching America's Got Talent, which is something that we enjoy, just sitting there watching and hanging out, because we get a kick out of everything about it, actually, even the people who think they've got talent that come on and do silly things. But there was a little girl, she was 10 years old, that had a voice that would have knocked you into next week. It was so awesome. And Bill and I both cried over it, tears of connecting to her and the joy of her being able to pull it off. And she just moved us to tears. But we've been crying over a lot of other things lately, and I wondered if you cry, because crying can actually be beneficial, although some people tell me that they feel compassion but that they can't cry. But I think that God gave us tears for a reason, and that's to cleanse and clear. And you know, Dr. Brene Brown talks at great length about the power of vulnerability and the fact that when you're vulnerable, it moves your energy in a direction that allows for you to be able to connect to your higher essence, because you are being honest and real with yourself when you're vulnerable. Again, not negating your shadow side, that part of you that feels negative and upset, uptight, or, that kind of thing. So do you cry? So I thought we would do some things about crying. Okay, so human tears have a higher level of the stress hormone than other types of tears. Like we can cry because, our tear ducts have dust in them or something like that. But when they're emotional tears, they release some of those stress hormones. And so that's a benefit of that, right? And it has a soothing effect. It helps you to regulate your emotions and calm yourself. Now, I've been known to ugly cry, like that. And that's okay too, because boy, it's bringing that emotion up and out. And when you stuff emotion and your body takes that hit, that's when you have disease that kind of takes over, because all of those emotions can get stuffed, as per what Louise Hay writes in You Can Heal Your Life. So you want to make sure that you're bringing that emotion up and out. And so if you have to do an ugly cry, then do an ugly cry to do that, it helps you get support from others. Now, we spent a whole week, 2 weeks ago, maybe, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, on narcissism and poor me narcissists who can turn the tears on and off in order to get attention. That's not what I'm talking about, okay? I'm talking about when you cry and somebody is comforting you, there is a connection, because there's a connection in that vulnerability. It helps to relieve pain. It enhances your mood, because once you have got that up and out of you, then you can kind of stop and think about what's next. Don't skip steps. I call that being in Fruit Loops and wind chimes. You've heard me talk about that before, saying that you're above emotions or whatever. Yes, we're supposed to get to a neutral place, because all events on this planet are neutral events except for the emotion that we assign to them. But we have to get there first. We can't skip those steps, because then we skip that power of vulnerability and that ability to connect to our essence, okay? And when we're crying, we release toxins and stress, and sometimes it aids in sleep. But did you know that it also can help with bacteria, because it contains a fluid called lysozyme? I probably pronounced that wrong, but it doesn't matter. It releases bacteria, and it improves your vision. So if you feel like crying, cry, big girls do cry, so do boys, but sometimes people feel like if they're crying that they're weak or they have something wrong with them. I have a lot of people that will sit with me and they feel the spirit begin to move into the room. I haven't hardly said a thing. And they say to me, oh, I feel like crying. Well, it's because when you feel the connection to the other side and the vibrational frequency of your higher power, it's such a magnificent feeling. And you can get that when you're meditating daily, and that magnificent feeling brings you to emotion, because tears can be happy or sad. A couple of quotes from Brene Brown that I thought was awesome. Vulnerability is not weakness, and that myth is profoundly dangerous. Vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. Number 2, vulnerability is the birthplace of connection and the path to the feeling of worthiness. So there's a couple of quotes there. So do you cry? I think we should all be crying a little bit right now as we see what's happening in our country and we wrap our arms around the situation in a way in which we change our vibrations. Somebody that did an awesome job talking about it was George W. Bush. If you have not read what he wrote, please look it up. It's really great. So I hope that you have a wonderful day and avoid saying negative things on Facebook that are meant to be divisive, especially if you're touting spirituality. Instead, wrap your arms around love, understanding, compassion, and peace so that we can keep our vibrations high and work towards a better life for all of us. Have a great day.